Hey everyone, welcome to Turkish series stars. Settle in, because everything you're curious about is right here, and if you love following the most talked about couples, make sure you hit subscribe and share this video so you don't miss what comes next. Now, let's talk about the pair the entire industry keeps whispering about, Barış Baktas and Yağmur Yüksel. This week, they're not trending because of red carpet sweetness or cozy snapshots. They're making waves after a surprising detail about their prenuptial agreement slipped out from behind the curtain. The line that shook the room came from Barış himself, spoken quietly to trusted friends. Yağmur cried when I asked for one specific clause. Ever since that sentence made its way to the outside world, fans and reporters haven't stopped buzzing. Those who follow them closely know the two have been building their relationship quietly, choosing calm over spectacle. No grandstanding, no chaotic PR rollouts, just careful steps, private dinners, and a kind of tenderness you only notice when you're really looking. Wedding preparations are said to be underway, nothing flashy, just methodical and thoughtful. But somewhere in the middle of finalizing those careful details, a conversation about the prenup opened the gates to a storm of feelings. Here's what insiders claim. The clause that set everything in motion had little to do with money and everything to do with the heart. Barış wanted to put into writing a pact that prioritizes their emotional life above the noise of fame. Both of them are navigating demanding schedules, long shoots, press days, and the unpredictable rhythms of their industry, and he reportedly asked for a promise that, no matter how frantic things get, they will always carve out protected time for each other. Not an ultimatum, but a lighthouse. Not a restriction, but an anchor. The idea was to guarantee intentional closeness, to set aside time as sacred, as if it were a date you never cancel and a boundary you never cross. People close to the couple say that when Yağmur heard it, she broke down in tears, not out of anger, not out of offense, but from the rush of feeling seen. According to the whispers now sweeping through their circle, she told a friend later that night she'd never had anyone put her emotional reality into words so precisely. They say the tears came with a half laugh and a sigh of relief, the kind you breathe when someone finally says the thing you, yourself, were struggling to name. Of course, as the news spread, fans split into familiar camps. Some called it a pure act of love, saying it's the most romantic thing two busy people could agree upon. Others flinched at the word prenup, claiming it erodes the mystery of romance. But those who were in the room insist that's not how Barış sees it. He's reportedly told his confidants, in the gentlest tone, that none of this stems from fear. He describes the clause not as a fence, but as a garden, something to protect what's blooming. The phrase people keep quoting from him is a soft, steady reassurance. This isn't about distrust, if anything, it's a marker of devotion. With the rumor mill spinning faster each day, it seems likely the couple will lead the chatter for a while. Their story travels quickly because it fits the rhythm of who they are, a pair that has on-screen magnetism and off-screen tenderness, a chemistry that spills over in subtle glances and shared silences. And if talk around town is to be believed, the prenup conversation sparked an even deeper one. About what they both want from marriage, what they fear, and how they plan to protect the home they're building. Insiders say the night of the clause, after tears and calm, they slowed everything down and started naming the elephants in the room. Work has been swelling for both. Yağmur, in particular, has felt the strain of constant scrutiny, the camera that keeps rolling even when she retreats from the set. Barış, naturally steady, is said to be doing what he always does when the waves rise. Finding calm, creating shade, promising protection not as ownership but as presence. Those who know them claim the clause was designed as a shelter for her boundaries and her mind, a space where she can breathe and set the terms of what the public never gets to own. And after the tears, there was a long embrace, and those present heard a quiet sentence from her that told the whole story. I feel how much you truly care. That moment marked a shift. From then on, the path ahead looked less uncertain. We're hearing that concrete talk about dates began soon after. Family meetings, once tentative, turned warm and frequent. Observant fans have noted the clues tucked into their recent posts, calm snapshots between scenes, gentle frames with no captions, quiet afternoons backstage where the story is told by a shadow on the floor or a coffee mug shared by two hands out of frame. Crew members whisper that even on relentless shooting days, Barış finds a way to leave her small notes, post-its tucked into scripts, scribbles that say, "I'm here, 5 minutes, rooftop, or eat something, I'll cover your next coffee." The romance isn't grand gesture upon grand gesture, it's the 1,000 tiny moments that add up to a life. For those worrying that a prenup renders love into paperwork, that's not the energy here. Every source insists that the agreement felt warm, not cold. More like a promise than a contract. And even though everything is shrouded in intentional quiet, there's a growing chorus saying an engagement or wedding date could be announced sooner than anyone expects. Meanwhile, the question bouncing around entertainment circles is a simple one. After all of this, when will they take the leap and make it official? Inside voices add more layers. At first, some of Yağmur's closest friends weren't sure how to feel about the whole prenup idea. The word alone made them nervous. But once they understood what it actually contained, they started to relax. The clincher seems to have been a vow Barış made, one that came from a protective, loyal place. He said, in the clearest terms, that if career storms hit, if projects stall, if headlines turn, he isn't going anywhere. He'll be beside her. He'll share the burden and do the labor of care without keeping score. Hearing that reportedly eased her family's hearts. Not because they doubted him before, but because there's something powerful about hearing a promise said out loud. There's another thread quietly weaving through their timeline, a shared decision not to rush. Both of them are rising, both are busy, both are being asked for more every day. Waiting isn't hesitation, it's reverence. Waiting is honoring what's being built. Word is that this patience, rather than cooling the flame, has made the connection sturdier. And if you listen to those who are close enough to repeat private words, there was a moment when Yağmur whispered to her circle, for the first time, "I'm looking ahead without that old shaky feeling." That one sentence has found its way through the grapevine, inspiring fans to see their calm as intention, not delay. As for Barış, what he feels isn't any less intense. He's been overheard answering the inevitable pushback with a soft certainty. This isn't some cold list of do's and don'ts. It's the blueprint of the life we're choosing to build. It's the plan that keeps our lights on when the world flickers. It's a vow written down, so we don't forget it when things get loud. And because this is the world we live in, the rumor of a sudden wedding has already started to take up space. A surprise drop, a day that appears out of nowhere on a weekend when nobody expects it, that's the fantasy floating around. The couple's silence only inflames the curiosity. Fan accounts devoted to them are overflowing with guesses, with fake seating charts, with imagined playlists named after inside jokes. If only the internet knew how simply they've been living lately. Yes, that part is true, they've dialed it down. Less red carpet, more dinners with friends. Fewer big parties, more weekends in places where the fog hugs the hills and the phone signal disappears. When a pair goes quiet like that, people say it's the calm before the storm. And in this case, that might be right. Because when two people are storing up joy and keeping their promises under wraps, it usually means something beautifully dramatic is being planned where no one can see. Even their interviews offer clues. In a recent conversation, Yağmur said, almost casually, that she knows her boundaries now. That she's clear about what she needs and what she refuses to sacrifice. Fans heard those words and connected the dots. They read them as a message, a little lantern held up over the path to marriage. In response, social media did what it always does, melted with speculation and stitched together theories out of glances, captions, and the color of a coat. It's worth pausing here to remember that for all the noise, what's happening between them is quiet. It's two people learning how to hold a private life in public. It's the art of balancing vulnerability with discretion. It's the emotional version of a hand on a steering wheel, gentle pressure, steady aim, a promise to keep each other pointed toward home. Those romantic notes, those snug photos shot between takes, those empty spaces in the calendar made for each other, they're all evidence that the prenup talk isn't a killjoy, it's a love letter disguised as a clause. There's a detail from their families that can't be ignored. Apparently, when both sides gathered, there was laughter in the room and the kind of quiet moments that feel like prayers. Parents asking practical questions. An aunt offering dessert and saying, with a gleam in her eye, that this is how forever begins, over tea in small plates, with a song in the background no one really hears because everyone's heart is playing its own. And when the meeting ended, people hugged a little longer at the door. You don't always get those little signs unless you're paying attention. As the weeks pass, each new whisper feels like another stitch in a story that's being hand-sewn. Their work remains demanding, their days long, but this is a duo learning to slip love into the seams. And that clause, the one that drew tears and redefined the conversation, its spirit keeps resurfacing. It's turning into nights reserved in ink, into breakfasts no one else gets to intrude upon, into a habit of sitting beside each other in silence just to hear how the other person breathes when the world goes quiet. No one can say when the announcement will drop. Maybe it will land on an ordinary morning, ruining a dozen schedules and setting timelines on fire. Maybe it will arrive at dusk, a single photo accompanied by a sentence that says just enough. However it comes, everything we're hearing suggests they intend to walk into marriage with the kind of steadiness people spend a lifetime trying to find. Not out of momentum, but out of choice. Not because of pressure, but because they've drawn a map together and followed it home. And for those still debating whether a prenup can coexist with passion, take this as your answer. When the agreement is born from care, when it is written like a promise and held like a vow, it doesn't chill the room. It warms it. It tells two busy hearts that even as calendars fill and spotlights glare, there will always be a door with their names on it, and a light left on, and a table set for two. You've heard the whispers, you've read between the lines, and you've seen the way their eyes find each other in crowded rooms. If the plan holds, if the quiet is indeed the prelude everyone thinks it is, then the moment we've all been waiting for is just beyond the horizon. Until then, they'll keep living softly, loving on purpose, and protecting what's theirs. And we'll be right here, watching closely. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe to Turkish series stars and share this video with the people who love a beautiful story told in a gentle voice. We'll keep our eyes on the path ahead for Barış and Yağmur, and the second something shifts, you'll hear it from us first.